It's universally agreed amongst the gaming community that video game adaptations are firstly cash grabs and are not regarded for their quality by any means. Nevertheless, when we were younger, we had a lot of fun with them even if they are terrible and on a higher budget. Today, they have been at a much lower budget and it's a little hard to tell if they're going to be good or bad. Usually, they end up being terrible. Am I always right? Let's try Cobra Kai for the Nintendo Switch and I'll let you know. The Karate Kid movies are one of my favorite movie franchises of all time, and to this day, I can still watch all 4 of them without getting bored. Despite this, I do not like the 2010 remake that much since it's just kung fu with a copy and pasted story of the original. The Karate Kid world had it all. Memorable characters, great story, and a badass soundtrack. Nobody believed that it needed to be explored further. That was until several years ago when they announced a web series sequel that started on YouTube Red. It is shared by fans with both optimism and pessimism. 2018 came, I watched the first season, I fell deeply in love with it. When it went to Netflix in 2020, it got even more popular. And so, a video game was released. You may ask if I'm going to show mercy or not. Right now, all I can say is this is no tournament, this is real. Many references in the video will provide some spoilers from the Cobra Kai show including Season 3, and we'll ask that to avoid being upset, if you plan to watch the show, please avoid the content of this video. If you started the Cobra Kai world with the Karate Kid movies in the 80s or 90s, then you know how nostalgic the show is. The game is definitely as much on the nostalgia side as well. You play a traditional arcade style beat 'em up. You play from both the miyagi-do side and the Cobra Kai side. The story starts with Dimitri and Hawk and their grudges in the principal's office telling their story about karate drama. Depending on who you pick out first, they will be the first to tell their story. If you watch Season 3 all the way, you may be wondering why those two are fighting when they are friends again in the show. Season 3 aired on January the 1st of 2021, whereas the game was released on October the 27th, 2020. Their friendship made up was not established at this game's story. It is based on the plot points of the first 2 seasons. The game does not follow the show's canon at all, so it's very much standalone. It is explained that the starting characters start off reading a note implying there was instigation done by somebody, assumably on the other side. Each dojo will assume it is from the other. You start off as Sam LaRusso on Miyagi-Do or Miguel Diaz on Cobra Kai story. On first sight, you can tell the game is made on a very low budget. While it does not necessarily mean the game is guaranteed to be bad, its importance do not set a very high standards and expectations. The graphics and art style are an acquired taste, but still comfortable and won't interfere with the fun gameplay. Each side will play through the same levels to the end of the stories. This means the same enemy encounters and bosses are there, but dialogue interactions are of course different. The progression of the same levels can come off as repetitive. It's not only each story are using the same levels, but some levels feel like they are copy and pasted over but skinned differently. I've never been to California, yet along Los Angeles County and the San Fernando Valley, but I still feel that even some streets and areas stand out for each other. Despite the repetitive level designs and graphics that leave a mediocre impression. It's a big surprise to see the variety of enemies you come across with, whether they are hippies, skeleton dudes, mall cops, bikers, or preppy dudes who will get their dads to sue you for assault. They all also seem to have the same first names by enemy. I doubt this blonde woman's name is Mommy. Let's call her Karen, since the developers are too pussy to get their managers called on them.
It's Cobra Kai, bitch!
Back to the point. It's not only variety in design, but their fighting styles too are different. Skeleton guys will attack you head on as normal street thugs. Some will even have bats that you can pick up and get a few uses out of them. Some enemies types can annoy you when building up combos, especially in the middle of juggles. You get these hot topic shoppers who will slide crouch kick you and sometimes knock you down, and Karen will get her god knows how many twin sons that have reinforcements and pepper spray. Farther into the story, the harder the enemies, your character, regardless of dojos, can be upgraded to your preference. Each character have their own characteristics and moves, but all also share their dojo's special moves that are also upgradable. You're even given a choice on how to upgrade over. You choose one option over the other, you stick with it in the grid, so it does help you prioritize your playstyle, and I find this to be enjoyable and user-friendly to accommodate other player styles. I also like to balance out my defenses and attack power along with upgrading functionality and special moves, so if you play differently it helps out. To upgrade, you can collect or cash in coins from defeating enemies, breaking boxes, even finishing challenges you get to collect boxes from in the dojo. Each dojo has their different playstyles and characters can be switched out in the middle of each stage. Miyagi-Do is effective on the defensive and Cobra Kai on the offensive. Special moves are elemental, based with the cliche fire vs. eye concept on both sides. Despite playing differently, each character has attributes that can mirror their counterparts. Sam and Miguel are your starter characters in the story, and are pretty much all-around playstyles. Dimitri and Hawk has many combo building opportunities as you link over using your special moves and basic attacks, or hitting the combos you put into higher grades for levels you can get. While I did not have the opportunity to play it yet, the game does have local co-op you can use. Playing through the game, the Switch version happens to have some crashing issues, which is very inexcusable for the game is essentially designed as if it was made 15 years ago. This is irritating as the level feels like they drag out a tad bit. Main story levels can take about 30 minutes to play through and finish, but imagine in the middle and the game crashed on you and you have to start all over again. Thankfully, the game autosaves after finishing each stage. I do not know if crashing occurs in the other version, but knowing lackluster ports for Switch version by developers, I doubt it. While Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid Saga continues isn't the most polished games you see around, it's also an experience that is fun and faithful to Karate Kid and Cobra Kai fans all around. I'm surprised the game was given a physical copy release and for $40. Despite of this, it's worth the fun and it's a game you can pick up to kill time or even have a buddy come over to tag along. If you're a fan of the Cobra Kai universe and arcade style beat 'em ups, it's a must have. Otherwise, maybe save the $40 or wait for a price drop.